generally, the question is, why do we stay alive when our desire is to leave the earth plane and move on to a higher level? And so that desire can be around aging, for example, could be around a severe accident where the quality of life is perceived as dramatically less than what the potential was or what they had experienced in the past. As usual, there's not a straightforward answer. There are various circumstances, so apparently under which there may be different answers. So one example, I'm just asking if we can go through a few examples. For example, this has to do with vets who return from war and they have amputations and blindness and physical terrible things that have happened to their body, and their body goes on, which I guess is the question. Why does my body go on when I don't want to anymore? This is like people who get cancer, and they say it's, in retrospect, as they are in remission, they look back and say it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Although at the time, they, were saying, I don't want any part of this, just let me cash out without too much struggle and discomfort. So why do we go on? Well, they're taking us to, it can turn out all right. It can turn out very differently than you expect. But the point being, why does my body go on? And the answer, when I don't want to, the answer is because it can, because it is designed in a way to overcome a great deal of hurt and harm. And it is designed to have this strong inclination to survive. That goes back to kind of the original, kind of like, if you didn't survive, you couldn't have offspring, and there wouldn't be people later. So that very innate and common and strong desire is what keeps many bodies going. They're also now indicating there is somebody who is older, well, they don't have to be older, but they are ill. They're ill, and the illness, they're ill. Layered on top of that is heartbreak, like they've lost their spouse, they've lost their loved one. The energy around that, it's that the energy around that feels so dramatically, it just like it's just draining away. The life force in that individual, this is called heartbreak. Wow. A heartbreak where the energy just, they're not even ill, I don't think, but they would get ill, something like that, and it's like, within a relatively short period of time, they have crossed over as well. Contrasted to, they're now showing me families, parents who lost children at Sandy Brook, for example, where there's severe heartbreak, and those people are more resilient somehow, and they carry on and they end up having a purpose. The heartbreak isn't any less. It just has a different effect on their physical body. So then another example is a person who is older and they're losing their sight, and they're, 80s or 90s, I'm going to guess. They're losing their sight, losing their hearing, their body kind of is creaky, that kind of thing. So they are not even able to engage with the outside world very well anymore because of their body is deteriorating. And there's just this awful, well, not all the time, but there's often, because these people are smart people, their brains still work to some degree, and it's when their brain is kind of considering the circumstances that they just feel like, oh, why is this carrying on? And then other times, and they can be actually kind of annoyed by some of the data. This must be somebody in a nursing home situation where, okay, now it's time to come and sit at the table and eat, and they can get annoyed over that interruption, like somebody making me do something I don't really want to do. So the annoyance level can kind of rise up, but it actually takes them away from the feeling of why am I still alive. And meanwhile, their body is just churning. There isn't, their body is still going. What I'm asking is, so what makes the difference between the person with heartbreak who fades away and the person who, like in the nursing home? What is there a, explain that please. Why is one able to let go and the other one isn't? The one in the nursing home still is an individual who throughout most of their lifetime has had this strength of purpose, like I can feel this. There's a strength to their life force that is carrying them forward, as opposed to this individual who has lost a loved one, their heart breaks, and they just fade away. The individual who lets it all fade away, there's a level of giving up. I can feel the person in the nursing home giving up, but there's a strength behind it, as opposed to the person over here who's lost the loved one, and they're giving up really it just feels like they fade, like there is no more life. They just fade away. And that apparently has to do with an energetic difference in level of life force, where whether we want to or not, that's kind of what we have at that time. That's what we have at that time. For example, an older person who's kind of lost their power, I guess you'd say. They may be in a nursing home. Certainly their life has changed dramatically over what they were like and what they did and how they were engaged in the past. And now they're being taken care of in a way that doesn't feel comfortable to me. From their perspective, it's almost like being made to do things. Oh, I see. So they probably were fairly independent people previously, and now they feel they've lost all that independence. There's no purpose going forward. And in this one example, I can't even see very well. I can't listen to interesting things anymore. And I'm still going on. I'm still alive because of who she's always been. Her life force is still very strong. That's what's keeping her body going. She does have still some purpose going on. So it isn't necessarily the independence, like, by golly, I'm going to. That's not necessarily what. That is one thing that creates a stronger life force that's been there all along that you can keep going with. But it's not necessarily the only thing. Also, the mental focus is dwindling, I guess you'd say. So there are times when, there's no more, it feels like the mental focus dwindling just allows her body to keep on going, because her mind isn't necessarily creating energy that would take her body down or allow her body to dissipate. Why does my body hang on for me? But again, it's your body. You got a good one. You got a good one. As opposed to there are babies born, apparently, who don't get good physical bodies, and they don't last long.